There is an urgent need to steer African-American young men in the right direction. That urgency pushed U.S. President Barack Obama to launch an initiative to enable at-risk minority youth to succeed. Well, the Eagle Academy Foundation has been a part of the solution. It stands as a national model of academic excellence and social success. David Banks is the author of the new book titled SOAR: How Boys Learn, Succeed, and Develop Character. He's also the president and CEO of the Eagle Academy Foundation, and he is here with us live in our New York studio. So good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Arise America.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. This phenomenal book. You have phenomenal success with the Eagle Academies, and I want to talk about them in just a second, but I imagine you have watched the news unfold over these last weeks and months as unarmed black men have been killed by law enforcement under a variety of circumstances with a unique perspective because of your passion for young black boys.
Sure.
Can you tell me sort of how have you processed this, and what does it say about what we need to do with our young boys in our communities?
There's a tremendous feeling, for me personally, of vulnerability and feeling like we are under assault. And it's the police, it's the criminal justice system, the guys in the neighborhood who are shooting and killing each other. I mean, it just seems like it's like there's no end to it. And so there's just a tremendous feeling of vulnerability, I think, more than anything else. When the Trayvon Martin decision came out, that for me was probably the epitome of all of it. I mean, to find a man who could create a confrontation with somebody that he was following and then say I felt as though I was threatened, and then have a law that he could stand his ground. I mean, it was just overwhelming. And so it's just a sense for me and the young men that we work with that, you know, my God, what do we do? You know, to black lives in America as a black man, it seems as though your life really just does not have value. We know that it does. We continue to fight on in the work that we're doing.
And the truth is, and you know, it's great that there are protesters, there are those out there standing up, demanding justice for our young black boys, but it also requires action on the part of the African-American community.
Absolutely.
Where does the responsibility lay, and where should the effort be concentrated to address it from within the community?
First of all, it has to start at home. It really does. And I mean, there's no way of getting around that. I mean, these issues really heighten the level of responsibility that we have to have in our homes and in our communities. We're going to really need our homes, our families, our churches, really stepping up and playing a lead. If we're sitting and waiting for the President of the United States or the federal government to kind of come in and solve all these problems, we'll be waiting a mighty long time. We need the efforts to continue to happen to change legislation in terms of the criminal justice system. But first and foremost, we have to return to a set of values in our own homes and in our own communities where we take responsibility for our actions as well. And those are things that are going to be very, very necessary, and in our schools as well.
And that's the natural segue to the effort that you've begun with the Eagle Academies. You had started the first public school for black boys in New York City in 30 years.
In 30 years.
And why? Why did you have a passion for that? Why did you see that as necessary?
Well, it was me, but it wasn't just me. It was our organization, 100 Black Men. It was an organization of men who have always provided leadership and support in the communities, but realized that we needed to do more. When you recognize that only 3 out of 10 young black men were graduating from high school, when you realize that back in 1920, 90% of our children had a father at home, and today it's just a little bit more than 30%, we have a crisis on our hands. And so we decided that we needed to do much more than we've already done. And we created the Eagle Academy to make sure that our young men are clear, to give them confidence, to be leaders, to help them understand that they have to demonstrate effort in all they do, so that they become academic achievers, and to be resilient. And that's the mantra that we really use at the Eagle Academy. It's been tremendously successful. In a city that's only graduating 50% of its African-American boys, the Eagle Academy graduates closer to 90% of our boys. We send all of our young men off to colleges and universities across the country. We know it works, and that's a big part of the reason why I wrote my book, SOAR.
And why does it work? You've got Eagle Academies in all 5 boroughs of New York City and Newark, New Jersey. I read a little bit about part of the importance is creating a culture, the right culture for these young black boys. Tell me quickly about that culture.
I think more than anything else, what separates Eagle Academy from other schools is that we activate possibilities. We help young men to understand what it takes to be successful. We find mentors who step into the lives of these young men and help them transition into manhood. manhood. We do professional development and training for our teachers so that they understand what it means to work with boys. You see, boys are different from girls. Got a different kind of energy that very often is misdiagnosed in the public schools as bad behavior or negative behavior when it's just boyish behavior. And so we make sure that our teachers and our adults know what it means to work with boys and our mentors who come in to help in that transition to manhood.
And you've done it so well, and now you've codified it. You told everybody how you did it in your book, SOAR.
Absolutely.
David Banks, it's such a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I
Very
appreciate
nice
it.
to see you.
Thank you.